Hey everybody, today we're going to do something a little different. We are going to make a mold using this turtle, and eventually we'll go ahead and we'll fill that mold with resin and have our own little crystal-like turtle. I put together this box. The bottom is made with a transparent sheet that you use for sticky labels. So I just cut this up to fit the bottom of that, and I glued that. I taped and glued that actually. And then I put glue on the inside of the box, which I know is going to leave some lines. It's not going to be all pretty smooth. We're going to be using the silicone rubber by Let's Resin. So like the epoxy, there's a part A and a part B. So we'll go ahead and we'll mix these up together here. This is the second time I've used this, but this is a little bit bigger project than the one I did previously. So this is going to take quite a bit of silicone to fill that box, and I'm a little concerned that I probably should have done something maybe octagon shaped and a little bit smaller, where I was going to use less silicone rubber, but let's see how it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the part A on this. And as far as thickness, they're both pretty close to me. So I would put the thicker one in first when I'm using resin, and then I would put the thinner one on top. But I'm not sure with this one, so I'm using an 8-ounce measuring cup here, and I'll be mixing these in this measuring cup. So there's the part A. Clean this up a little bit, and we'll go ahead and add the part B. This is very low odor. It doesn't really have a smell to it, so that's good. By the way, it is a 1-to-1 ratio by weight, and I should be measuring these out on a scale, on a kitchen scale. So I should have put the part A on the scale, measured out 4 ounces, tared it to 0, and then put another 4 ounces of the part B. And I did not do that. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll just have to cross our fingers that it works, because this is a lot of silicone rubber to waste. So we'll stir this for 5 minutes and let it get set. Now I'm going to take my box mold frame, whatever we want to call this, and I'm going to put the turtle in here. And I need to leave enough space around the head and the legs so that the silicone has enough room to set in. I don't want it to tear. I don't want the silicone to tear when I'm trying to take the turtle out. And I know I measured this before I put this box together, but I'd like it to be a little bit wider between where the head is and where those front legs are. But it is what it is. So let's see what we get. So next I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I can get a little closer here without making you dizzy. We'll go ahead and we'll pour this silicone rubber slowly over the top of the turtle, trying to minimize bubbles. So this does get bubbles in it, just like the epoxy resin does, but it looks pretty good, and it's a nice consistency. I did let it set off camera for you guys for 5 minutes after I mixed it to let some of those bubbles come out. And I can tell you right now, 8 ounces is not going to be anywhere near enough for this particular mold, which was kind of my fear. So I'm going to have to mix some additional silicone rubber and put on this. And I don't have any more of the green. So I'm going to have to let this set for about 6 hours. I'm going to mix up some white that I have, and then I'll go ahead and put the white on top of the green, and we'll hope for the best that it holds. So we'll see. In the meantime, let's get this out of here. All right, so I did what I said off camera. I waited 6 hours. I mixed up the white silicone rubber. Same thing by Let's Resin. And it should adhere. There shouldn't be any issues with that, but let's see what we get. So let's get this box off of here. Quite challenging to get this box off of here. It's looking good though. It's not pretty, I will tell you that, because of the way I glued it. I should have glued it on the outside, but the last time I did that I had some leakage. So I'm not going to sell this mold, so I'm not worried if it's pretty. I just want it to be functional. And I just want to get some of this cleaned up a little bit as I go. And we'll keep trying to get this off. It's actually looking better than I thought it would, and it did adhere. The white did adhere to the green, so no issues there. All right. A little boxy residue left. It is nice and firm. It's actually really very heavy. Okay. I guess it is a little stylish, green and white. Turquoise and white. And I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this excess silicone off here, make this a little prettier. Just want to clean up these edges a little bit. Now let's see if we can get this thing out of here. It is really in there. Holy smokes. Oh, I hope I'm not doing any damage to the inside of this. I'm trying not to put my fingers in there and touch the inside of the mold because sometimes it'll make it so that it's not shiny anymore. Almost there. I'm going to break this wing, I can tell, or this little leg. It is really in there. Okay, come on. This is actually a turtle that opens. You just saw me with my thumb, push my thumb down on that. It's actually like a little jewelry box kind of thing, and I glued it shut, but it came open, and I know that there's going to be a string of silicone that went in that I'm going to have to trim away as well. You can kind of see it flopping as I'm trying to get this thing out of here. Goodness gracious. It really adhered to this material. And the wing did break as I said it would, but that's okay. I'll just glue that together. A little cheap dollar store turtle, so no big deals. We'll take care of that. And there is a little bit of residue in here. And again, I really don't want to touch too much of this with my fingers. But I need to cut some of that excess off. And again, this was just excess that because I didn't glue the turtle well enough, some of that silicone went into the inside of the turtle. So I'm going to go ahead and just clean some of this up in here, some of this excess. And I will trim these sides and make this a little bit neater. And just getting rid of some of this extra stuff on the inside, but it actually looks pretty good. The truth will be once we go in and we pour the resin into the mold. Just wipe this up a little bit. There's some little pieces in there. All right, it's pretty much cleaned up and we are ready to go. So I'm going to spray some mold silicone release in here. So when we go ahead and demold after pouring the resin, hopefully it will come out a lot easier than that turtle did when I was trying to get it out of the mold to begin with. So I'm just going to spray some of this in here. I've only used this mold release a couple times, so I'm not sure. I don't want to use too much, but I need to make sure I'm getting in there pretty good too. So just hit this a little bit. This is a huge mold. This took about 24 ounces of silicone rubber. I've mixed up some Let's Resin, epoxy resin, 1-to-1 ratio, and I let it set for 5 minutes. And I'll just go ahead and I'll pour that in here, and I'm going to pour it in kind of slowly. I want it to go into all of the little nooks and crannies where the legs are, and the feet, I guess, if that's what you call them in turtles, and certainly the head. And this was 8 ounces of the 1-to-1 ratio clear epoxy resin by Let's Resin. So just going to fill this up. And I'm not going to put this on the heat mat. I'm actually going to, once I fill this, I'm going to let this set for 24 hours. This is deep enough where I probably could have used a deep pour resin, which is a 2-to-1 ratio. What you worry about with deeper molds is flash curing, meaning that they get hot too quickly and they don't cure properly. So I'm hoping that this resin will work. So big experiment today. Experimenting with the mold to see if it worked, experimenting with the resin to see if I should have used the deep pour. I think this will be okay though. And I also am hoping that I didn't damage the mold when I was trying to get the turtle out of there. So it will be an interesting day when we come back and demold this. I'm going to go ahead and put a little heat on there, I think, with my heat gun. So we'll go ahead and just add a little heat. I might spritz it with some alcohol as well, just to get out any bubbles. I don't want to use my torch on it. I probably should, but I'm a little afraid with using that silicone mold release stuff. I don't want to start a fire. So let's just give this a good go over. And we'll spritz it with a little bit of alcohol too, just to be sure. And cleaned it up, and there we go. All right, we are back. It is the next day. That was a quick turnover. And, ooh, it's coming apart very nicely from the mold here. It's still in there pretty good, but it is separating from the mold much easier than when I had the turtle in there. So I think this is going to come out very nicely. Making sure I don't break its legs or its head. I almost feel like this is giving birth here. We're giving birth to a baby turtle. I am a nurse by trade, so of course I would think like a nurse. Or a veterinarian, I suppose. Okay. Oh, it came out perfect. It is perfect. The trim was good. I did a good job. The mold worked. Yay! So here we have it. There's a few little bubbles in there. I don't even care. Some of that may have been from when I sprayed it with the mold release. So that's a wrap, guys. I hope you learned something. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button And I always appreciate those thumbs up and the likes and your feedback. So until the next time, be safe, and I'll see you again soon.